If this message reaches you before November 1st, understand once and for all that you are not here by accident. Behind every moment that brings you to these words, there is an invisible architecture at work, a conscious synchronicity weaving encounters, separations, signs. You have been chosen not because you are better than others, not because you are perfect, but because you remained attentive, because you sought deep meaning in the midst of chaos. Perhaps you have felt at the margins, forgotten by time, ignored by life. How many times in silence have you asked God, the universe, the higher mind, to give you a sign that your existence has weight, that your steps are not scattered in the wind? Stop now. Breathe. Savor this instant, because before November 1st arrives, something has shifted. The call has reached those who dared to seek, even in the darkest night of the soul. The old world, with its repetitions and noise, tends to whisper that nothing changes, that everything is blind fate. But Jung reminds us that what we call coincidence is often the voice of the self invading our routine, breaking through distractions, signaling that it is your turn. The moment has come. You have crossed invisible doors, survived storms that only you know. Your scars, sometimes hidden, are seals of battles won, signs of preparation for what is arriving. The marker of November 1st is not just a date. It is a portal, a thin line between what was and what begins now. If your eyes read, if your ears absorb this message before that day, accept that you are standing on a sacred threshold, a field of resonance where past and future merge. Awaken. Release yourself from the chains of doubt, remorse, old patterns. Life is calling your true name, that name which even fear can no longer silence. Before we go deeper, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. By doing so, you become part of a community dedicated to profound self-knowledge, walking together through weekly explorations of Jungian psychology, spirituality, and conscious transformation. Each video builds on the last, creating a progression that deepens your understanding and integration. Check the pinned comment and description for playlists that will guide you step by step through this journey of awakening. Now back to what we were exploring. If you look around and think nothing has changed, remember that the greatest transformations grow in silence, germinate in hidden roots before they bloom in the garden of the visible. It may seem that everything is static, but the invisible acts sometimes as wind, sometimes as calm, preparing, realigning, stitching destinies together. It is in this quietude that God, and the name does not matter, what matters is the presence, operates discreet miracles. Be inspired by every tear not wasted, by every stumble that yesterday seemed like defeat. Your losses do not define you. They are fertile soil for the abundance knocking at your door. This text does not promise you material success, does not guarantee wide open doors or easy riches, because the true calling is internal, to enter the new cycle freed from the weight of the past, ready to become a living testimony of the force that refused to succumb. Not everyone will understand your crossing, not everyone will celebrate your awakening. Many will doubt, some will envy, but only you will know what it is to be remembered by destiny. Perhaps to arrive here, it was necessary to distance yourself, to lose old supports, and that is all right, because rising requires lightness. Release the shackles of others' expectations, abandon borrowed pain, forgive what is necessary. In this moment, do not be afraid to lose everything, because that is how life can deliver what is new to you. The surrender that this calling asks is not weakness. It is the victory of spirit over human limitations. To surrender is not to yield to chance. It is to accept the invitation to live in fullness. The sacred does not tolerate hands clinging to the past. Open yours, feel, receive. Before November arrives, make your decision. Stand before the mirror of the soul and ask, am I ready to accept the new chapter written in my name? God, the universe, the invisible force that governs the tides, has already written the script. You can pretend to ignore it, postpone it, silence the calling, but this message was sealed for those who dared to listen. And if you have come this far, congratulations. You are a witness that there are no accidents, only signs for those who open themselves to mystery. Those who respond to the call never return the same. Prepare yourself. Do not cling to the comfort of the old. Do not delay the step of faith. Keep your gaze on the horizon of the new. Each day until November 1st, celebrate the grace of being among the few who received the warning. What does it mean to be chosen? Jung spent decades exploring this question, not through the lens of religious doctrine, but through the architecture of the psyche itself. To be chosen is not an external validation. It is an internal recognition. It is the moment when the self, that totality of your being that includes both conscious and unconscious, decides it is time to emerge. The call you are hearing is the voice of your own deeper nature, the one that has been waiting, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades, for you to turn inward and listen. This is not about superiority. It is about readiness. You have been prepared by your suffering, by your questions, by your refusal to accept superficial answers. Every moment of doubt was carving space within you, creating room for the sacred to enter. Jung called this process individuation, the journey toward becoming who you truly are, not who the world told you to be. And the timing, this urgency tied to November 1st, is not arbitrary. It reflects the archetypal nature of thresholds, of liminal spaces where transformation becomes possible. In ancient traditions, the turning of seasons, the shift from October to November, marked the thinning of the veil between worlds, the time when the invisible becomes visible, when the dead speak to the living, when the unconscious rises to meet the conscious. You are standing in that threshold now. The question is, will you step through? Consider the moments in your life when you felt most alive. Were they not the moments when you took a risk, when you followed an intuition that made no logical sense, when you trusted something you could not name? That is the voice of the self. That is what is speaking to you now. And it is asking you to trust again, to move forward into the unknown, to release the familiar patterns that have kept you safe but small. Jung understood that growth always involves a descent before an ascent. You cannot become whole without first encountering your shadow, the parts of yourself you have denied, repressed, rejected. Perhaps that is what these recent months or years have been about. You have been meeting your shadow, not to be destroyed by it, but to integrate it, to reclaim the energy you locked away because it was too frightening, too powerful, too unacceptable to the personas you constructed. The shadow holds your vitality, your creativity, your passion. When you embrace it, when you stop running from it, you discover that what you feared most is also what you need most. And this is where the concept of synchronicity becomes essential. Jung defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidence, the causal connecting principle that reveals the hidden order beneath the surface chaos of life. When you encounter a message like this, before a date like November 1st, it is not random. It is a signal from the deeper pattern, the one that connects your inner world with the outer world, the one that shows you a part of a larger story, a greater unfolding. You are being called to participate consciously in that story, to stop being a passive recipient of fate and become an active co-creator of your destiny. The old world, the one built on materialism, on the illusion of separation, on the denial of the soul, that world is collapsing. You can feel it. The structures that once seemed solid are revealing themselves as hollow, and people everywhere are waking up to the realization that something essential is missing. What is missing is meaning. What is missing is connection to the numinous, the sacred, the transcendent. Jung knew that the modern crisis is fundamentally a spiritual crisis, a loss of connection to the symbolic dimension of existence. You are being called to restore that connection, not just for yourself, but for those around you. When you awaken, when you individuate, you become a beacon. You radiate a different quality of presence, and others, whether they know it or not, are drawn to that light. They sense that you have something they are seeking, and by your example, by your courage to walk the path, you give them permission to do the same. This is not about becoming a guru or a teacher in the conventional sense. It is about embodying your truth so fully that it becomes contagious. Now let us address the fear that may be rising in you. The fear of change, of the unknown, of stepping out of the roles and identities you have inhabited for so long. That fear is natural. It is the ego's resistance to transformation. The ego wants stability, predictability, control. It wants to know what will happen next. But the self, the deeper intelligence, operates on a different principle. It seeks wholeness, and wholeness requires letting go of what is partial, limited, false. Jung spoke of the ego as a small island in the vast ocean of the unconscious. To individuate is to recognize that you are not just the island, you are also the ocean. And the ocean is calling you home. This does not mean you lose yourself. It means you expand into a larger version of yourself, one that includes dimensions you have not yet explored. The fear is a doorway. Walk through it. On the other side is freedom. Think about the people in your life who did not believe in you, who dismissed your dreams, who told you to be realistic, to settle, to accept less. They were speaking from their own limitations, their own fears, their own unexamined shadows. You do not need their approval. You do not need their permission. What you need is your own conviction, your own commitment to the truth that lives in your bones. And that truth is telling you now, before November 1st, that it is time to stop waiting, time to stop hesitating, time to stop doubting whether you are worthy, whether you are ready, whether you are enough. You are. The very fact that you are here, reading these words, absorbing this message, proves it. The universe does not make mistakes. It does not waste time calling those who are not meant to answer. You are being called because you are ready, even if you do not feel ready. Readiness is not about having all the answers. It is about having the willingness to ask the questions, to face the uncertainty, to trust the process. Jung's concept of the archetypes offers another layer of understanding. The chosen one is itself an archetype, a universal pattern that appears in myths, religions, stories across cultures and throughout history. When you resonate with this archetype, it is because it is activating something within you, a potential that has been dormant, waiting for the right conditions to awaken. The hero's journey, which Joseph Campbell mapped so beautifully, always begins with a call. The hero is living an ordinary life, often feeling restless, dissatisfied, sensing that something is missing. Then the call comes, an invitation to adventure, to transformation, to a quest that will test them and ultimately reveal their true nature. You are at that threshold now. The call has come. The question is, will you refuse it? Will you stay in the ordinary world, safe but unfulfilled, or will you accept it, cross the threshold, and enter the unknown? History and mythology are full of those who refused the call, who let fear win, who died without ever knowing who they could have become. Do not let that be your story. You have been given a gift, the gift of awareness, the gift of this moment, the gift of choice. Use it. The path ahead will not be easy. Transformation never is. There will be moments of doubt, moments of darkness, moments when you wonder if you made the right choice. Those moments are part of the process. They are the trials that forge you, that burn away what is false and reveal what is true. Jung called this the nigredo, the blackening, the stage of the alchemical process where everything seems to fall apart, where you lose your bearings, where you question everything. But after the nigredo comes the albedo, the whitening, the emergence of clarity, purity, new understanding. And finally, the rubedo, the reddening, the integration, the birth of the philosopher's stone, the symbol of the individuated self. You are in the nigredo now, or perhaps you have just emerged from it. Either way, the light is coming. Trust that. November 1st is not an end point, it is a beginning. It is the moment when you consciously commit to the journey, when you say yes to your own becoming, when you stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. The universe has been preparing you for this. Every experience, every challenge, every heartbreak, every triumph has been leading you here. Nothing has been wasted. Nothing has been in vain. You are exactly where you need to be, and you have everything you need to take the next step. Consider the symbolism of the threshold itself. In ancient traditions, thresholds were sacred spaces, guarded by deities, marked by rituals, because they represented the passage from one state of being to another. To cross a threshold is to leave something behind and to enter something new. It is a death and a rebirth. You are standing on that threshold now, and what you leave behind is your old self, the one who was defined by fear, by conditioning, by the expectations of others. What you enter into is your true self, the one who is aligned with your purpose, your passion, your soul. This is the essence of individuation. This is what it means to be chosen. Not chosen by an external God, but chosen by your own deeper nature, summoned by the self to step into your fullness. And this process is not just personal, it is collective. As you individuate, as you become whole, you contribute to the collective consciousness. You raise the frequency. You add light to the world. Jung believed that the fate of the world depends on the individual, on each person's willingness to do their inner work, to confront their shadow, to integrate their opposites, to become conscious. You are part of that. Your awakening matters. Your transformation matters. You are not just healing yourself, you are healing the lineage, the ancestors, the future. Let us also consider the role of suffering in this process. You have suffered, perhaps deeply, perhaps in ways that no one else knows. That suffering was not punishment, it was preparation. It was the way your soul got your attention, the way it said, there is more to life than this, there is a deeper dimension, there is meaning hidden in the pain. Jung said that neurosis is the suffering of a soul that has not discovered its meaning. You have been suffering because you have not yet claimed your purpose, your calling, your true path. But now, before November 1st, you have the opportunity to transform that suffering into wisdom, into compassion, into strength. This is the alchemical process, turning lead into gold, turning pain into power, turning wounds into gifts. Every great spiritual teacher, every mystic, every saint, every sage has walked through the fire of suffering and emerged transformed. You are no different. You have the same potential within you, the same capacity for transcendence, the same ability to rise from the ashes. And this is why the message is reaching you now, because the time has come, because you have done the work, even if you did not know it was work, even if you were just surviving, just getting through the days. You have been forged in the fire, and now you are ready to shine. Do not let anyone diminish that. Do not let anyone tell you that you are naive, that you are chasing fantasies, that you are wasting your time. They do not understand. They are still asleep, still living on the surface, still afraid to dive deep. You are different. You have the courage to go into the depths, to face the darkness, to meet the dragons, to claim the treasure. That is what makes you chosen. That is what sets you apart. Not arrogance, not superiority, but willingness. Willingness to say yes, willingness to risk, willingness to trust. And trust is perhaps the most important element of this entire journey. Trust in the process, trust in the timing, trust in yourself, trust in the intelligence that is guiding you, the one that brought you to this message, the one that is orchestrating synchronicities, the one that knows your path even when you do not. Jung called this the transcendent function, the capacity of the psyche to reconcile opposites, to hold tension, to create a third way, a new possibility. You are being asked to trust that function, to trust that your psyche knows what it is doing, even when your conscious mind is confused, even when nothing makes sense. The transcendent function is what allows you to move from fragmentation to wholeness, from conflict to integration, from suffering to meaning. It is the healing force within you, and it is activated by your conscious participation, by your willingness to engage with the unconscious, to pay attention to your dreams, your intuitions, your symbols, your synchronicities. This is the work. This is the path, and you are already on it. The fact that you have read this far, that you have stayed with these words, that you have allowed them to penetrate, proves that something within you is responding, is recognizing, is remembering. That something is yourself, and it is saying yes. November 1st is a symbolic marker, a point of focus, a way to crystallize the intention, to make the commitment concrete. But the real transformation is happening now, in this moment. As you read, as you feel, as you open, you're already crossing the threshold, you're already stepping into the new. And from this point forward, everything changes. Not overnight, not magically, but gradually, inevitably, as you align more and more with your true nature, as you shed more and more of the false layers, as you become more and more who you were always meant to be. This is the promise. This is the gift. This is what it means to be chosen. You are not being asked to become someone else. You are being asked to become more fully yourself, to reclaim the parts you lost, the parts you gave away, the parts you buried, to integrate the shadow, to honor the light, to embrace the whole. This is individuation. This is the hero's journey. This is the call. And it is reaching you now, before November 1st, because now is the time. Now is the moment. Now is when you decide. Will you answer? Will you step through? Will you say yes? There is a multitude of others invisible to you, scattered across the world, who are hearing the same call, who are standing on the same threshold, who are making the same choice. You are not alone. You are part of a collective awakening, a rising tide of consciousness, a shift in the frequency of the planet. Your individual journey contributes to that shift. Your personal healing ripples out into the collective. You matter more than you know. Your choices matter more than you realize. This is not pressure. This is empowerment. You have the power to change your life, to change your world, to change the future. And that power is activated by a single decision, the decision to honor your truth, to follow your calling, to trust yourself. Make that decision now, before November 1st arrives, before the threshold closes, before the opportunity passes. Say yes. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to your becoming. Say yes to the life that is waiting for you, the one that is calling you, the one that you have been preparing for all along. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your call. You, chosen one. If this message has reached you before November 1st, celebrate. You are among the few who heard, who listened, who responded. And from this point forward, you will never be the same. Your life will unfold in ways you cannot yet imagine. Doors will open. Synchronicities will multiply. Insights will arrive. Clarity will emerge. Not because of magic, but because you have aligned with your purpose, with your path, with yourself. And when you align with the self, the universe aligns with you. This is the great secret. This is what the mystics knew, what the alchemists practiced, what Jung discovered and articulated for the modern world. You are a microcosm of the macrocosm. What happens within you reflects what happens around you. As above, so below. As within, so without. Change yourself, and you change your reality. This is not wishful thinking. This is depth psychology. This is the science of the soul. And you are being initiated into it now, in this moment, through this message, through this call. Welcome. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the path. Welcome to the community of the awakened, the seekers, the individuators, the ones who dared to go beyond the surface, who dared to question, who dared to transform. You belong here. You have always belonged here. And now you know it. Now you feel it. Now you claim it. Before November 1st. This is your declaration. This is your commitment. This is your yes. Let it echo through every cell of your being. Let it reverberate through your past, your present, your future. Let it ripple out into the world, touching everyone you meet, inspiring everyone you encounter, awakening everyone who is ready. You are the chosen one. Not because you are special, but because you chose. You chose to listen. You chose to open. You chose to respond. And that choice changes everything. From this moment forward, walk as one who has been called. Walk as one who has answered. Walk as one who is becoming. Let your life be the evidence of transformation. Let your presence be the invitation. Let your journey be the inspiration. And know deeply that you are not alone. You are supported by the invisible, guided by the self, surrounded by synchronicity, held by the universe. Trust that. Lean into that. Surrender to that. And watch as your life unfolds into something more beautiful, more meaningful, more aligned than you ever thought possible. This is the promise of the call. This is the gift of November 1st. This is what it means to be chosen. Now go. Live it. Embody it. Become it. You are ready. You have always been ready. And now the world is ready for you. The chosen one, the one who heard, the one who responded, the one who became. This is your story. This is your truth. This is your time. Before November 1st, say yes. You are standing at the edge of a mystery that few understand and even fewer dare to live. The call you heard is not the end, but the doorway into a life governed by meaning rather than chance, by intention rather than drift. What happens after November 1st is not determined by fate alone, but by your daily commitment to remember who you are becoming, to honor the voice that spoke to you, to walk as one who has been initiated into the mysteries of the self. There will be days when you forget, days when the world pulls you back into its noise, its demands, its illusions. On those days, return to this moment. Return to the feeling you had when you first realized you were chosen, not by an external deity, but by the deepest part of yourself, the part that Jung called the self, the totality that includes both light and shadow, both conscious and unconscious. That self is your guide, your compass, your true north. It does not speak in commands. It speaks in symbols, in dreams, in longings, in synchronicities that others dismiss as coincidence. You know better now. You know that nothing is random, that every encounter, every loss, every triumph, every moment of despair was preparing you for this awakening. The individuation process does not end. It deepens. With each choice you make to honor your truth, to integrate your shadow, to embrace your fullness, you move closer to the center of your being. And at that center you discover something astonishing. You are not separate from the world. You are a mirror of it. What you heal in yourself, you heal in the collective. What you illuminate in your own psyche, you illuminate in the shared consciousness of humanity. This is the great work, the opus of the alchemists, the hero's journey that Campbell described, the individuation that Jung dedicated his life to understanding. You are now part of that lineage, that tradition, that sacred work. And it begins with a single step, the step you took when you said yes. From this point forward, pay attention. Pay attention to your dreams. They are messages from the unconscious, guiding you, showing you what needs to be seen, what needs to be integrated. Keep a journal. Write them down. Reflect on their symbols, their themes, their emotions. Jung believed that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. And he was right. They will show you the way forward, even when your conscious mind is lost. Pay attention to the people who enter your life and the people who leave. Every relationship is a mirror, reflecting back to you some aspect of yourself. Those who trigger you, who frustrate you, who challenge you, they are your teachers. They are showing you where your shadow still lives, where your healing is still needed. Do not push them away. Meet them with curiosity, with compassion, with the willingness to see what they are revealing. Pay attention to the moments when you feel most alive, most aligned, most present. Those moments are clues. They are showing you your purpose, your path, your calling. Build your life around them. Make choices that bring you closer to that feeling, that state, that way of being. This is not selfish, this is sacred. When you are aligned with yourself, you serve the world most powerfully. And pay attention to the resistance, the fear, the doubt, the inner critic, the voice that says you are not ready, not worthy, not enough. That voice is the ego, clinging to the old, afraid of the new. Do not fight it. Do not suppress it. Thank it for trying to protect you, and then choose to move forward anyway. The ego will soften over time, as it learns that transformation does not mean annihilation, but expansion. November 1st is a symbolic threshold, but the real work is daily. It is in the small choices, the quiet moments, the decisions that no one else sees. It is in choosing to speak your truth when silence would be easier. It is in choosing to honor your needs when self-sacrifice has been your pattern. It is in choosing to create when fear whispers that you are not talented enough. It is in choosing to love when your heart has been broken. These are the acts of the chosen one. Not grand gestures, but humble commitments, repeated over and over until they become your new way of being. And as you walk this path, you will notice something extraordinary. The world will begin to respond. Doors will open that were previously closed. People will appear who support your vision, your growth, your becoming. Resources will materialize. Opportunities will arise. Synchronicities will multiply. Not because you have manipulated reality, but because you have aligned with it. You have stepped into the flow, the Tao, the current of life that moves through all things. Jung called this the unus mundus, the unified world, the underlying unity that connects all existence. When you individuate, when you become whole, you tap into that unity. You become a co-creator, a participant, a conscious agent of the divine unfolding.